We have Bible study. There's you and. Oh, it is.
Good evening,
Good evening.
and welcome to the first public hearing on the budget. This is a hearing, and this is an opportunity for us to actually listen. We'll have a presentation from our financial department, and then we will hear from the public. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight, we're going to do a public hearing on our budget. This is our first public hearing of this for next fiscal year's budget. Objectives and purpose. The objectives and purpose of this public hearing is to outline the revenue expenditures, to use that for our decision-making, to get budget priorities and rationale related to general funds and fund balance. This hearing is to solicit feedback for budget decision-making. It's also to promote transparency in the budget process and to gain community input on the budget process and priorities. Our budget development influencing factors. To begin the budget, we have to come up with our strategic plan. We include our board, parent, and community engagement. We look at our data sources, and then we get local and state economic landscape or priorities, our revenues from local taxes, property taxes, our state QBE money. We increase the cost of sustaining operations, and we are showing in this budget our unfunded state mandates. Our budget public hearings, this is our first one on the 8th. We will have another public hearing next May 15th, next Wednesday. We will have a board millage rate public hearing, our first one on June 12th, and we will have our second and third one on June 20th, one in the morning and one in the evening. This graph shows our projected revenue increase. Our total projected revenues for this year are $614.6 million. We project that as an increase from this year to next year of $48.8 million. Local revenue, I did an estimate of an increase of a 10.2% to our local tax digest, and that increased at about 39 million, a little over 39, but then I had to take out about 1.3 million because our TAV-T car tags has been going down each year. So we netted at about a little over 38 million projected. Our state revenue is made up of our QBE, and we did get a preliminary figure for that, and that increased about 15.66 million, but we did have some decreases in our state grants that we cannot count on. We may get them, but we get them year to year, so I had to take that out. So that netted at 12.4 million. Our federal revenue is showing a decrease of 1.9. That is our our federal grants. That includes our E-rate and our federal impact aid, and E-rate appears at this point to be going down for next year. That's the biggest cost in that. Federal impact aid is a fairly small amount. And then we also are decreasing a little bit in our other financing sources, and that includes like sale of equipment. We do show an increase projected for that, but a decrease from what we had budgeted for compensation for loss or damage reimbursement. This slide shows a graph of the general fund forecasted expenditures. And as you can see on there, some of the big ones are towards the bottom, $14.9 million for a cost of living increase of 5.5%, a step increase for years of service, 3.5, state health insurance increase, 10.4. We've got some secondary counselors in there, 2.6 million, adding 24. So as you can see, there's several items on here. The budget approach, we have three choices. We have three paths we can take. We can continue to path one, maintain and enhance our existing programs from this year and optimize execution next year. Path two is reduce and reallocate expenditures, or path three is to increase the revenue, and the only way to increase revenue for us would be to increase the millage rate, increase a grant funding, put out for more grants, or to increase our enrollment. This is a chart of our organizational climate and culture. Stewardship is where finance typically falls, and the big one on here is down under stewardship, maintain an effective budget process that ensures an equitable allocation of resources to provide high-quality educational services. This chart just shows our general fund revenues, which are projected at $614.6 million. Our expenditures are projected at $622 million based on what we have put in the budget. This means we would have to use fund balance of $7,477,366. There's debt service in there for some of the debt we're paying, and then our capital projects of $131 million. This next slide shows our special revenue funds, and it just lists them out all separately. Title I is one of them, CARES Act, that's going away. That's been a big one we've had in the past, but we will have to have that money spent and used by September 30th, 2024. This next chart is some additional special revenue funds, and food services down there at $33.2 million. Our internal service funds, which is our workers' comp, is a little over $2 million. Our unemployment is $242,910. Our employee dental plan is no revenue coming in for that. We're not self-insuring with that anymore, and we just have expenditures. So our total preliminary budget for revenues is $874 million, and expenditures at $882 million. This is, on this slide, I just have a graph of our total fund expenditures. Our total expenditures for this year are $882 million. And you can see it divided out. The general fund makes up by far the largest at 71%. Our next biggest is capital projects at 15%, followed very closely behind that special revenue funds at 14%, and then internal service funds at just above 0% at $3.5 million, and debt service at just above 0% at $250,000. Thank you.
Okay, we have several people who have signed up to speak today. We'll start with Teresa Watson.
Hello. Oh, come on. Hello. Hey. I know y'all been here all day. Yay. Good evening, members of the school board administrators, esteemed school board administrators, Superintendent Dr. Watts, and community members. My name is Teresa Watson. I am president of Savannah Federation of Teachers, Paraprofessionals, and School-Related Personnel. I represent over 600 employees of this school district, and I'm here today to address a matter of great importance: the wages of our dedicated school board employees. As we all know, the success of our educational institution hinges on the hard work and commitment of its employees. From teachers who inspire our students every day, to administrators, staff who keep our schools running smoothly, to custodians who ensure a clean and safe environment for learning. Each and every one of our employees plays a critical role in the success of our schools. However, despite the invaluable contributions of our employees, many of them are struggling to make ends meet due to the stagnant wages that have failed to keep pace with the rising cost of living. This only affects the morale and well-being of our employees, but it also undermines the quality of education that we are able to provide to our children. It is essential that we recognize the dedication and hard work of our employees by ensuring that they are fairly compensated for their efforts. A wage increase is not just a matter of fairness, it is an investment in the future of our schools and our community. By providing our employees with a competitive wages, we can attract and retain top talent, foster a positive work environment, and ultimately improve the quality of education that we offer to our students. Our employees deserve to be valued and respected for the vital role they play in shaping the future of our community. I urge the school board to prioritize the well-being of our employees and to consider granting a wage increase that reflects the hard work and dedication that they bring to the jobs every day. Investing in our employees is an investment in the future success of our schools and our community as a whole. I humbly request that the school board members take this matter into serious consideration and work toward implementing a fair, competitive wage increase for our school board employees. Together, we can create a more equitable and thriving educational environment for our students and staff. Thank you for this opportunity to speak before you, and please take this in consideration in your planning. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Andrew Amendola. And please correct me if I did not pronounce your name correctly.
That was pretty good. Thank you.
Thank you, okay.
Thank you very much. Once again, it is time to set the yearly budget for Savannah-Chatham County Public Schools. Despite stagnant or decreased enrollment, budgets are going way up. In 2 years, total spending has gone up 25% to $768 million. My sources are GeorgiaInsight.com. What do we get for the money? The ratio on student instruction over those years has actually decreased. The amount spent on administration is around 7.5%. Normally, efficient administration range is usually 5 to 7%. Salaries and benefits have increased 20% to almost $500 million. Whether this includes the recently uncalled for bonus that you magically presented last year is unknown. It's very easy to be generous with other people's money. It seems the system's main task is not to educate our students. but it is to increase the salaries and wages of its employees and of the contractors. This year's budget in 2023 is no exception. And the proposals include more administration, more employees, and higher salaries. This includes 10 positions for academic deans. How will this improve student performance to me or anybody else is a mystery. Then, as it was indicated before, you're scheduled to get a COLA increase. How many of the people who pay their salaries are going to get a COLA increase this year? How many taxpayers are going to get a 5.5% increase? I don't know where you got the 5.5% increase. Most inflation now, the figures are around 3.5%. And my favorite, a marketing director. What are you marketing? Failure? I don't understand that. Salaries and benefits need to be cut, not increased. This could be done by contracting out non-education functions such as maintenance, security, groundskeeping, kitchen, and transportation. Reduction in forces should also be considered. The possibility of layoffs comes with any other position in this district, just as the rest of us should do. An employment here at the school system should not be a guarantee of lifetime employment. Now, what do we get for this exorbitant amount of money? First, we get the board cherry picks its student achievement results, which then sends it to local media geared for 2-minute news bites to celebrate itself when it has no reason to do. CCRPI metrics, which are biased in making bad schools look good, show a different story. Your figures are decreasing and not increasing. While private schools in other districts opened during the pandemic, this system didn't show up. Scores which were abysmally low plummeted even further. 3 years later, and millions of dollars later, these scores are in the middle and high school levels are still far below the 2019 figures. This is typical of the district. More money, less results. The system here has historically underperformed. It fails the county, it fails the taxpayer, and it's basically failing our students. That vision, you failed that, and you historically failed it in even the past 20 years. Unless it admits it is a failure, which you don't seem to admit, you just celebrate yourself thinking you're a success. Any attempt at reform is just a waste of time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Thomas East. Mr. Thomas East is not here. Ms. Kelly Powell? Ms. Kelly Powell? Okay. Do you have anyone else here to speak? Okay. Well, thank you. I'll accept a motion to adjourn. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys.